I've got a good one. I'm going to go hard on this one, boys. You know my style. Right. As of right now, I actually agree with what Maui just said. But with that said, unless you want to be the biggest hater of all time, I'll give you an example, Maui. Right now in football in England, people are doing this to my favourite team because my favourite team is about to almost certainly win the Premier League. But because their rivals had like a bunch of excuses like injuries, they didn't get the player they wanted, they're not just going like, oh, well, you win this time. They're going, well, you're only winning because the entire league sucks, which is like, what? Like that. And the reason why that's nearly always a whack take is because even if you mean like the general levels law or that many elite teams, at the end of the day, like, there can't really be no elite teams at the top of the game. Like, some teams have to be good. You just argue at that point of, like, how good are they relative to history or how hard is this field? So similarly, right, if you do something similar in Counter-Strike and I do the same thing you just did, Maui, if I say that right now for me, right, in my version of what's elite, like, eye test-wise, the only teams are Spirit and Vitality. And I don't even think, I agree, don't think it's that close. Like, I don't think Na'Vi at all, eye test check out. I think every other team has enough flawed games and maps that you just look at them and it's more like you're saying, you more like go like, fuck, what we're missing in CS is teams that should be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have like all the teams from like 8 to 15. We have by the way, if that was the next section of teams with elite Mongols, Eternal Fire, we'd have the greatest top 10 of all time. It'd be banging. The problem is we missed all the other elite teams. But at the end of the day, you're sort of stretching the word elite if you're going to say there are only 2 elite teams in Counter-Strike. What? And then everyone else is just like average or something like that. That seems too skewed. So I'm sorry. Yeah. Realistically, whoever is in the world rankings at like 3 and 4 and maybe 5 probably gets to be called elite, right? In relative to what we've got in the current tier compared to the rest of the teams they are. So here's my statement. I think Eternal Fire right now is the worst elite team in the history of LAN Counter-Strike. The worst. Because on paper, if I actually had real gun to my head to rank them, bro, they'd have to be top 5. They actually are capable. I think they can beat literally everyone in a best of 3, by the way. I think they could even beat Vitality in a best of 3. But here's the other thing. Holy fuck, can they lose a lot of best of 3s as well? And then I'll throw in a couple of extra reasons. One, they don't even have the excuse, by the way, that someone like Na'Vi does have when they falter of like, yeah, but where's my like super elite player? You've got Santares. Like, he actually is like a top 5 player in the world. Like, he can be that. He's like Nico and Falcons. If they show up, they can give you a chance to win every single game. That is real. Then secondly, bro, they even have a factor that normally would make you a lock to win tournaments. They have a home map that they are the best in the world on, Anubis. And by the way, there's a lot of teams out there that are still on we used to ban Vertigo, we now ban Train. Like, there's a lot of people who do not ban Anubis, by the way. That means in most best of 3s, you can auto pick a map you are unironically 90% win rate on. And that's like a real 90% win rate where you're also beating like the other Anubis teams to get the 90% win rate. Like, all these factors added together, right, should make you for real. I even think they have one of the highest average skill levels in the game. They actually have quite a strong T side when it's hitting. If you add all this together, you would literally assume, if I say whatever, pick what number, we can argue if they're 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, but they're top 5, right? On paper, this team should have like probably fuck around and win a trophy. They should be in a bunch more finals. They should be like a lock to be top 4. Mate, the amount of bad teams they can lose to and the amount of series I've seen them lose. That game I watched the other day, Matt, against Team Liquid, didn't even make sense. Like, even Liquid isn't that good, and they made them actually look shit. Like, I want you guys' thoughts, because obviously, look, I've crafted this one because low-key, fuck the Eternal Fire fans, but I actually do think it's sad, because when I watch this team, they should be so much better than they are, mate. Like, the actual ceiling of the team is crazy, but then the floor is so impossibly low, it's bonkers. And I actually don't know what the rhyme or reason, like I said in that tweet, Maui, as to how they turn up each day and decide which side of the bed they got out of. Like, they get out of the bed one day, they could lose to literally anyone, like Sword, 3D Facts or something. The next day, they could wake up and actually just go to like fucking Spirit or something, 2-0. Like, give me some thoughts. I want to know, because I think this is a good take. I think it's a good take. Spicy.
I think it's a good topic to talk about.
Go for it.
I think that you calling them the worst elite team is a little bit of a stretch, because, you know, there's Falcons there, VP. I don't know if you consider them.
I mean, of all time. Though.
Of all time, it's even like crazier, right? Like, there was even teams like, you know, Renegades.
They were elite. They were never.
No. The thing is, like, of all time, it's a bit of a stretch. The problem with the Eternal Fire lineup I think it's beyond the players. I think they have a rookie coach, whoever the fuck he is, who doesn't understand these problems in the team.
Listen, Madja, I would suggest, voted him to be the coach of the year last year. So what do you want? They've got the coach of the year, Kassad.
Yeah, well, yes, you know, it's like, you know, me voting for my mother, that she's the mother of the year. Like, it's just fucking whatever. But the thing is, like, they have a problem probably, or in organization, they don't understand how to manage their time and how to manage their goals, expectations, and obviously the practices and the things. We saw, you said it yourself, we saw the skill. They can beat Spirit, they can beat Vitality, they can lose to Tyloo, which they did, right? Simply because, like, I feel like there is a lot of randomness in their days, in their schedules, in their routines. I don't think there is any routines, right? I think there is problems between... Probably there is problems between players and some disagreements about how things should be done. I think the players individually have problems, dealing with pressure, dealing with like a drop of form, dealing with like all these things. And when all of that combines, you get a really volatile, results. In a sense that you can lose to Tyloo and you can beat Spirit, right? Do they have the components right now to be the proper elite team that we can consider and put on a legit number 3 behind the Spirit, Vitality, whoever you think is the first or the second? Yes, they have Santares, they have Shota, they have like all these people that can actually be, and they speak Turkish, all of them, like it's a national team, which makes things much easier.
You think they have an advantage over people?
Yeah, same mentality, same language, communications are, but the processes behind the team are not being handled properly. Like I said, the schedules, the comms, the dealing with inside and outside of the server problems, mismanaging completely time off, not sweeping problems under the rug instead of, rooting them out immediately. For me, it feels like the bottom line is like they are not growing naturally as a team. They're not being watered properly to grow in a proper, a fucking behemoth of a team right now. I think they're just, get a little bit water, but too much sun. Then to a lot of water, then no sun. Like it's just unnatural. It's like a GMO thing. But the thing is, like, it feels like if they solve those problems, if they pay attention to solve problems.
Why did he draw in this like fucking analogy about GMOs and like get into
I don't know. I don't fucking know. It's a long day. But the thing is, like if they fix those things, we can see them dealing with this like Tyloos of the CS very easily and getting into the playoffs very easily, constantly be a playoff team. And after you do what you do, then like it's a different story. But like you need to get yourself to that position. Right now, even I tweeted when they lost the game against FaZe, right? I see you laughing. When they lost the game against FaZe, they need to like win games like that to be a proper tier 1 team, right? So that's the whole kind of point around Eternal Fire. Are they the worst elite team of all time? I think we've seen worse if we go back into like, we
haven't.
Online era and like even before.
Oh, that doesn't even count. That listen, I think I've made it quite clear. Online CS doesn't count.
Yes. But do you count like 2014, 2013, 2015? Like,
what would be the worst elite team back then?
I don't know. You had like back then. You had like Copenhagen Wolves or.
It's better than these bombs we're talking about.
No, absolutely.
Here's why I'll tell you why those teams were better, in my opinion. Because those teams at least used to do what I call like defending home court. Like if that team was like 4th, they're going to beat the team that's like 9th. The worst thing about Eternal Fire is, bro, the number. Like I tell you, what would be a fun game to play for real. Someone predict what the lowest ranked team this year that will beat Eternal Fire will be, because bro, that number will get crazy. Like I bet that number's in the 20s. Put it that way. I'm not even trolling. Like I've seen this team. Like the Tyloo one's inexplicable, bro. That wasn't even like they're not even really good now. Like that wasn't even a good team after they won the game.
I don't know. Is it Furia maybe that's the worst elite team of all time?
Furia's up there, but even then they were pretty good once upon a time. If you go back to 2022, they were good at the end of that year. They were good.
Yeah, it's like there is teams like,
and I'll give them at least this props. They used to at least like have like fucking smokes and shit where they clearly put into. The other thing about Eternal Fire is if they ever invented anything, remember the most famous thing about their team is that like the idea that because their best player used to be the greatest onliner of all time, he is named after the most bullshit peak you can do to someone online. Like that's the most famous thing still. Like 10 years later, mate. Like, and he's really good good on LAN now. Like, what? They haven't got it. By the way, I have to say, considering they have a lot of people in real life will literally kill you from their culture, Maui, they don't actually have that crazy cultural impact, really. Like, where's their... Like, you'd think they'd have more memes or something, wouldn't you? I'm actually amazed they haven't sort of got more shit going around their team. Because they're also really good. That's what's... By the way, that is the thing that sucks the most. Like, I've bet on this team loads of times and lost, because you just think about all the times they play well, and you go, mate, they should knock most of these teams straight out the server. That's why I say that Liquid one's just so inexplicable to me, but I don't know what I was watching in that game. Like, what? What do you think,
I would
Maui?
just say that my take on Eternal Fire right now is that I kind of had to reckon with it that this year they are elite. I think
they have to be, because there has to be a third, fourth, and fifth best team in the world. That has to be, yeah, of course.
They have to be elite, because if you make it to the grand finals of the Blast Bounty, into the playoffs of Katowice, and to the playoffs of Kaluj, the consistency's there. It's obviously there. Every single event, you're making a deep run. That's just what we consider elite, if you're consistently always making it that far. The problem is that, for me, I mean, historically speaking, I think that's something for you guys to probably battle on who was like a worse elite team. I couldn't even really think of anybody off the top of my head. And if we're going to give it to like teams that are outside the top 5 that were at any point, then surely there's one. But like the main thing for me is Eternal Fire I'm going to say until this Pro League, for me, they have been an elite group stage team, because they always do so well in the group stage. And for some reason at this EPL, they're looking shaky. They're 1-2, currently playing Pain, and they're probably going to end up 2-2 after this one. And I think they're going to make it through this group stage eventually, but like they're just a team that falls off once they hit the playoffs. Like they're right now being that team that's kind of similar to the Mongols, where it's just that they'll always make it to the stage, make it to the playoffs, deep run. But once they get there, once they face that true S tier, there's no chance in hell. And even if they're facing another team that's kind of on their level, they might not even beat them. Like if Liquid was in the playoffs of Cluj, they could have similarly beat Eternal Fire, which feels elite, feels weird, because it's not like Liquid's elite in my eyes. Liquid's definitely out of that realm.
No. By the way, here's what my joke would be. You know that classic joke format that I love, Kassad, which is the idea, because it's actually something, if you don't know, from like British colonial thinking of the world and conception. It's the idea that if you go to some obscure country like India or the Middle East in Agrabah, you know, you're going to go to this bazaar where they're selling all like weird rugs and artifacts, and you go and you buy a magical artifact. It's my famous joke metaphor. It's the metaphor of the cursed monkey paw, where you buy this magical item that the guy tells you, it could grant wishes. And then you're like, but as you're buying it off him, you're too greedy because you hear that to buy it. And you don't hear his warning, like, but watch out, they always come true. Be careful how you friends. You don't even hear, like, whatever, old man, like, give me that here. Like, you take it away like Indiana Jones or something. And then the joke of it is, whatever you wish for, you're not precise enough with the language. So it does come true, but in a way that fucks you. So here's what my joke would be. I know what happened. And by the way, this is even better because I'm going to use Falcons. So imagine Zonic going to some sort of weird desert area. Imagine how it could be almost like the edge of the world. And he could go to that, look that up, that's straight fire joke. He could go to this weird area, he's heard tell of where this one thing is contained. And apparently, Kassad, that's actually where Carrigan, his old mate, went first of all years and years ago, and he found the cursed monkey paw first. And all he said was, I want to actually make a few of these bloody major finals. Well, he made loads of them, lost most of them, of course, in heartbreaking fashion. That's the point of the cursed monkey paw, Kassad. So I know what Zonic did last year. When he was getting Falcons fixed, he tried everything with money, real world transfers. He couldn't get it done. So what he did was, he said, he went and got that cursed monkey paw, and his only wish was this: I want Falcons to be a guaranteed top 5 in the world. So that's what happened. All of Counter-Strike in the world just got ruined. There's only 2 decent teams. Navi's shit. And now, here's the thing. Falcons are going to be 5th best in the world. And here's why, Maui. Because all the other teams that are going to have to make the playoffs, like Astralis, Mongo, they just lose instantly. Yeah. They can't even win a stage game. So, in a way, we got what he was only wanted. It just, we had to ruin the entire history of Counter-Strike to get it. But enough about Falcons. Enough about the Falcons project. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then. Or, you know, be a pleb and don't.